Damn it, I suck. I have been muted the entire time. Thank you guys for letting me know. I am so sorry. Anyways, I guess I'll start all over again since nobody actually heard what I said. It's like the main mistake that I make, right? The mute. Anyways, all right, let's dive into it. We've got 5 stories here that we're gonna dive into. Yeah, we just got a major indicator from the mainstreet. That's right. Mainstreet's counter indicator is telling us that we're going higher. We're going to take a look at that. As well, mainstreet announces they're going to be integrating crypto. There's an announcement from the SEC and the CFTC. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what does this mean, right? What does this mean for the end user, right? Well, what does it mean for the person that doesn't really care about cold storage? However, right, they do want to buy Bitcoin. So what does that mean for them? Move over paper Bitcoin summer. That's right. Paper Bitcoin summer appears to be dying down a little bit, and we're starting to see some paper shitcoin summer. So we're going to dive into that garbage. Meme coin battles are heating up. That's right. We all know Trump had his meme coin. His wife Melania had her meme coin. So, hey, it's time for another meme coin to come and do some battle and just rob people. No, not rob people. What else do we got? Stablecoins, right? We've always been told, essentially, that stablecoins are a big threat to Bitcoin, right? Why would somebody use Bitcoin, which is censorship resistant, when, and of course not issued by the government and hard capped, when they could use the secure, predictable, right, unvolatile stablecoins? Turns out the stablecoins are going to most likely have a bit of a different use than what we thought. And guess what? Threatening Bitcoin isn't one of those uses. And then finally, I want to give a shout out to a Bitcoin company, what I consider to be one of the original Bitcoin treasury companies. But these guys actually make a real product. They actually offer a real service, and they actually make money. They save that money, and the best part is they turn it into Bitcoin. It's that simple. Right? You don't have to issue, you don't have to dilute your shareholders and take on a whole bunch of debt to pretend that you're going to be able to hold Bitcoin for the next 50, 60 years into the future. It is that simple. Offer a valuable product or service, and any savings you make, any savings you have, you store them in Bitcoin. Sounds crazy, but it works. Anyways, guys, this is the stuff we're going to take a look at. But first, you know the deal. I'm going to show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor. We're going to be right back. And again, I apologize for the mute, and I appreciate the viewers and listeners letting me know that I have been muted. Let's dive into it. I'll be right back.
Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium.
All right, let's dive into it. All right, still not muted. Good stuff. I mean, as if it was any surprise, right? There's your counter indicator. Jim Cramer says September is seasonally weak. So yeah, guys, we're going higher, and it's kind of funny, right? Because of course, this morning we had a little bit of a pump, sitting around 12K. Meh. Anyways, all right. So that's some decent hopium. But wait, as Bitcoin was going down, right? Yesterday, what was going on? The spot Bitcoin ETF spot $332.8 million of the corn, and yet we did not move. You gotta love paper Bitcoin summer. You gotta love it. Speaking of paper Bitcoin summer, paper Bitcoin summer. So I'm not sure if I probably announced this several weeks ago when they first announced that they were going to buy Bitcoin. I'm talking about hyperscale data. Said that they were going to raise $145 million to buy Bitcoin. But I possibly did not pull up the chart on this thing. And I got to tell you, of course, that was paper Bitcoin, Roman. Of course, I mean, obviously. Yeah, man. It's why we didn't move, right? Because apparently we're producing like 1/20th of the amount that these guys are buying, and yet we don't move. No, not STD. Not STD. What are they called? They're hyperscale data. Yeah, I guess that kind of looks that way, huh? Yeah, they might want to rethink that ticker symbol. Anyways, nice catch. Anyways, let's go take a look just quickly though, guys, because I can't help it, right? I always have to pull the chart out on this thing, and I'm pretty sure I meant to look at this thing, but I never did. So, guys, this is the chart for hyperscale data. Okay, ticker GPUS. Okay. Now, I don't expect everybody to follow along and understand everything we're looking at and all that good stuff. It doesn't even really matter. But just to give you an idea of how much they diluted their shares, right? Like essentially their shares, what is it? Fully diluted or not fully diluted? Fully undiluted is like what? $2 billion, something like that. $2 trillion anyway. Anyways, you could see, right, that this company since 1998 has been stringing shareholders along forever, doing absolutely nothing, up until about 2018 was their last pump. And then, yeah, you can see here, guys, this is where the major dilution took place. The first dilution was a 1 for 300 share reversal. Okay, 1 for 300. And they still couldn't keep the lights on, still couldn't keep the wheels from falling off. Let's do another 1 for 25 share dilution, right? So just so people understand, right? So in the first case, if you had 300 shares, you now only have 1, okay? And then if you had 25 shares, you now only have 1. Okay, so each one of those was done after the other, and then as if it didn't get any worse, they then did a 1 for 35, which means if you manage to survive those first 2 dilutions, they now diluted you even further to keep the lights on. Okay? I wouldn't touch that thing. I wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole. And, you know, the reason why I show you guys this is because I want to make the overbearing pattern clear, right? These are all companies using this crap for, it's just exit liquidity. It's literally just pump and dumps. That's all it is. No, you're absolutely right. Raymond, correct. Stock splits are not a solution. That is absolutely correct. And that's exactly the point. Right? Because that's what this business did in order to try and stay alive. And I'm not judging that, saying, oh, you know, that's a bad thing that they did that. But you can clearly see that whatever it was that they weren't doing, that they were doing isn't working. And therefore, the only thing they had left was to continue reverse splitting those shares to stay alive. So that's crazy stuff. Anyways, look, yeah, everybody's entitled to do your own research, all that good stuff. You know, it's not financial advice. Personally, I've learned my lesson. I've been burned several times on garbage because I didn't understand and I was fooling myself. And there you go. You know, just sharing the experience. Anyways, moving on. Paper Bitcoin summer coming to an end, apparently. Oh no, wait. Before it comes to an end, we've got this company out of the Netherlands, Treasury. Like, the company is straight up just called Treasury. That's all that is. Pretty interesting stuff, though. But look, they've raised 126 million euros, and you know the deal. They are going to be looking to meet the growing demand for Bitcoin investments as Bitcoin hits all-time highs. There we go, guys. In case you don't know, this one's being funded, right? Or supported by the Winklevi twins. So that's kind of interesting. The Winklevi are stepping into the paper Bitcoin summer. They are going to be IPOing as well. We covered that a few episodes ago. But yeah, so there you go. They're getting involved in this thing. All right, moving on from the paper Bitcoin stuff. All right, let's go over to the paper shitcoin stuff. Clean Core Solutions immediately drops 59% on the news that is becoming the first, you're reading that correctly, guys, the first Dogecoin treasury company. So look, you know, I can't help it, right? I'm obviously going to pull the monthly chart on this thing. Sadly for Bitcoin proponents, right, like myself, the shitcoin treasury company seems to be holding up a little bit better than a lot of these Bitcoin treasury companies. And I am not endorsing this, to say, hey, you should be buying this thing. But it's the irony. It's just not lost on me. It's kind of funny. Of course, we are going to be revisiting this in about 6 to 8 months. So that should be interesting. But yeah, there you go. The shitcoin treasury companies, they are making their move. They're stepping in. And speaking of which, the SEC and CFTC given the blessing. That's right. SEC CFTC staff issue joint statement on trading of certain spot crypto asset products. Okay. So, what does that actually mean for everybody, right? At the end of the day? Well, what it means is that your traditional trading platform, let's say like an E-Trade or something like that, is now going to provide whichever supported shitcoins are approved. There's going to be that, and of course there's Bitcoin. But what else? What else does that mean? Well, it's supposed to mean that because these exchanges are regulated, that it's going to be more secure. Where have we heard this before? There's also going to be, supposedly, again, what it should mean is that there's going to be potential for lower costs. Now, I think that that's just complete nonsense. Because essentially competition is what creates that. I remember when I first started trading stocks a really long time ago, I was like 18, 19 years old, and I was doing this out of Canada, and it was expensive. Every single time I bought shares, I had to pay a fee. And every time I sold, I had to pay a fee. And eventually, I did not have to pay a fee anymore because there were so many more of these platforms that were coming out, right? You had guys like Robinhood coming out, and boom, all of a sudden, businesses had to compete for your business, right? For your volume. So they dropped the fees. Not all of them, of course, but a good portion of them. It's not really going to mean any changes in the grand scheme of things, right? For traditional traders and stuff like that. It's just all of a sudden now there's going to be some new ticker symbols. The one thing though that I am thinking of, does this mean that we are going to see equities with BTC pairs or even shitcoin pairs? That'd be kind of, I wonder if that's the direction that we're actually going in. Anyways, look, this is, oh yeah, no, this is good. Yes. No regulated company has ever committed massive fraud, hurt millions of consumers, and died in ignominy. Okay, so look, yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. As we know, we've seen Freddie Mac, we've seen Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. For a good portion of us, at least I can speak for myself, seeing what happened with AIG. Yeah, the regulators, right? They can't be trusted. They are indeed quote unquote trusted third parties, but they can't be trusted. And to UTXO, you are absolutely correct, right? Like this is just rinse repeat. This is the same type of thing that we've seen before. I know that a lot of people don't want to believe this, but this is what lays the groundwork for massive bubbles to occur. That's all. This is what it is. And the cycles of booms and busts, this is how the current financial system works. And it's okay if people don't want to agree with that or believe that. That's totally fine. But unfortunately, the patterns of behavior go against that. So anyways, all right, moving on from the SEC. All right, the Memecoin wars. That's right. Let's watch this little video here of Gavin Newsom.
Prediction is, we're about to put a meme coin out, and you know what, Donald Trump, we'll see how well your coin does versus our coin.
It's getting embarrassing. Look, obviously it's for attention. There's no surprise there. I would not suggest anybody buy this thing. I don't know if people remember from last cycle, but anybody know where Memecoin is these days? Yeah, that's what I thought. No Memecoin. Anyways, yeah, it's all just shitcoin nonsense. And it's fun. If nothing else, right? It gives us some great entertainment. Now, to the final piece here, we are going to take a look. Oh no, Roman, please don't buy any. Don't. I'm going to say that, yeah, that's my opinion. It's my financial advice to anyone that's listening. I'd say stay away from the meme coins. Anyways, that's based on my experience of getting wrecked. So moving on, right? What was this treasury company that I was talking about, right? I'm talking about Tahinis, guys. You know, like these guys, they're low key. Okay. They don't sit there and yeah, you know, obviously they talk about how they love Bitcoin, right? And they, you know, it's social media. So they tell you every time they open a restaurant and everything like that. But these guys, I find, have been doing a really great job of just simply being who they are and being legit and not overhyping. I appreciate this. Anyway, so Tahinis just purchased Bitcoin. We also just opened our 65th restaurant. We're also opening our first restaurant in the US. It's about time. Tahinis, I know we follow each other. Possibly, if you do watch this show, maybe you can also look at opening some locations in Florida. I would appreciate it. Now, why do I say these guys are one of the original Bitcoin treasury companies? Because this is from December 1st, 2020. We converted our entire reserves to Bitcoin in August 2020. Now, if that timeline seems to ring a bell, it's because that's when MicroStrategy started their first purchases as well. And since then, we've been ridiculed and called irresponsible fools by people in our community. Our reserves in dollar terms doubled since then. Here's why we'll continue to buy Bitcoin forever. And of course, it's just a thread, but the whole point is that this is the type of stuff I want to showcase, and this is exactly why I'm showcasing it. Is because these guys have a real business. They've been growing it. You know, it's not easy. Anybody who's ever attempted to grow a franchise or worked in one, you know that it is not easy. So hats off to these guys. Hats off to these guys for taking the risk right back in 2020. And I put risk in asterisks because to those of us that have paid attention to Bitcoin, we know the risk is not being in Bitcoin. And look at what this guy did, right? Look at what these guys did for their business. They're helping solidify their future. It's beautiful. Anyways, yeah, that's right, ACP. They're a Canadian chain. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking of getting these guys on the show. I know that on my old show, I believe that that we had the CEO of Tahinis on, but yeah, I think he's due for he's due for an appearance on Pleb Underground, right? Definitely. Oh, here we go. Got another comment here. Tahinis is a profitable business that uses Bitcoin without additional sales pitch about it. Simple and sustainable use case. Exactly. Right? Love to see it. This is exactly the point. This is all that Bitcoin adoption really needs. I get that the hype sounds good. It makes us feel good. It makes us think that like everything is pumping to the moon. But you know what? We get wrecked. We get wrecked by hopium dealers, and we get wrecked by having expectations that aren't real. Anyways, guys, this is all I wanted to talk about today. You know the deal. You know the deal. We're going to be back tomorrow. More news. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Take it easy.